We've all seen the jump. We've heard about the stories of day one. But what was it that you said to yourself before the jump on day one?
Well, I'm here. We got to do it. You know, this is happening. So we got to deliver.
3, 2, 1, action!
Are there any dream stunts left on the bucket list for you?
Many.
Are we going to see them in part 2?
We'll talk next summer. You asked me that question, but there's a lot more in store.
Now, with the way the world was 3 years ago and the quality of production, was this one of the harder productions of a film that you've ever done?
First of all, it was definitely the most complicated film I've ever produced. And then add on everything. It was already very ambitious. McHugh and I wanted to make an epic, romantic, thriller adventure. We really wanted to be an epic adventure. So it was an incredibly ambitious movie to start with, and then everything happened. And look, without this cast, every single one of this cast members, what they did and hung in there with us, and not only that, our crew, they were amazing throughout. Amazing.
Whose idea was it for a Fiat to take advantage of you in the film?
It goes back and forth. I always blame McHugh. He always blames me.
Everyone on the carpet has said you have a nickname on set of up for any stunt possible.
It's called Hell Yeah. So when I would turn up on set every day, they're like, here she comes, here's Hell Yeah. It was great. It was better than Hell No.
So what was the first stunt they pitched you and you're like, hell yeah?
In the audition, they put me through a stunt choreography kind of audition to see what my natural abilities were and level of coordination and fitness. And they're also working out to see how I moved through space. And then they would then design a style that I was best equipped for. And so 5 months of training was learning how to drift. That became a skill I didn't know that was going to come as easy as it did. I loved it. So that obviously got quickly written into a car chase sequence in Rome, because really everything that they were watching me offer, and seeing what excited them as filmmakers. And then we did sleight of hand tricks. I would often find that in a fight sequence, I was faster to learn the choreography if I was given a prop, probably because of my theatre background. And so that became part of the character, as did unarmed combat, and which I needed, because by the time that I got onto that vertical train set carriage, I needed all the fitness and breath that I could muster to get through it.
Did you give Tom any grief of you've been able to accomplish motorcycles, planes, trains, but a Fiat is the one that gets you?
Well, isn't that funny? I just thought how brilliant and how clever of him to have Ethan Hunt undermined by a Fiat 500, because that's when you start to see his vulnerabilities, and especially when he starts the engine and immediately crashes the car, and he's like, this woman has never seen him do anything else. She's like, oh, who is this guy? I feel kind of bad for him. And he's like, I'm not, this isn't usually, and seeing him play it was so funny and so clever, because we know how competent Ethan Hunt is, but then to be able to see him not be as great at something that's undermining him, beautiful.
Simon, let's go to day one for the jump.
Yeah.
You're a part of that scene.
Yeah.
As you watch Tom come down, are you going, please come down, please come down?
Oh, of course. We all are. We're all just praying that he sort of, he makes it. I don't even believe in praying, and I was praying. It was terrifying, because you never know. There's always a degree of uncertainty. There's always something that could happen, a crosswind or a bit of dust comes off the ramp. So we were holding our breaths the whole time. It's scary enough when you watch it in the movie knowing that he survived. When you watch it on the day, it's something else.
Did you get to read the article that fans believe your character is more of the glue holding the team together?
Oh, that's really sweet. I think what it is that, because Benji's probably the most sort of regular of everybody, he's kind of the audience's way in, because he's the guy that stops and says, why are we doing this? Ethan is so focused, he just has to get on with it. Luther is an old pro, he doesn't bat an eyelid, but Benji will always sort of say, what are we doing? And I feel like that's something the audience can relate to, because they're sitting there thinking the same thing.
How did you find out you're a part of Mission Impossible?
I got the call from, I was doing ADR for Top Gun, and McHugh will always call me to ask me to do ADR on the phone, the iPhone, and send it to him. And he called me, and I was like, listen, McHugh, I'm tired of doing ADR. Stop calling me about this. He said, listen, I'm not calling you about ADR. I'm calling you about Mission Impossible. And I was like, Carry on, sir. I would like to know more. And he told me that after Top Gun, him and Tom really loved what I did, and they wanted to write a character for me in this franchise. They didn't know what it was going to be, but I knew how they worked. I love the franchise. I always wanted to be a part of it, and I said yes.
Knowing that where we left off with part 1, part 2 already shot or in production right now?
In production right now. We are trying to make sure that we get everything right. With the press tour for this, they put a pause in production, but it's going to be something great.
How much sand was stuck in your hair and all over your body during production?
I'm still showering it off.
It's like going to the beach, but worse.
Literally like a skin peeling. Well, I just came from June doing Mission, and they were both in the same location. So I just never left.
With the fight scenes in the middle of beautiful locations, too, do you take a moment and go, I'm fighting in the streets of Italy right now?
I do. Do you know what? I'd never been to Venice. And when we were there, it was so filled with tourism, and it's obviously wonderful for them with tourism. But when COVID happened, sadly enough, we got the possibility to go into Venice, and there wasn't a person there. The water was turquoise. It was something it hasn't been for years. The water was so clear. It was so beautiful. It was so quiet. And we got to experience this and do our scenes. It was breathtaking.
With this movie, too, being so close to you and very special, did you walk away with anything from set for a memento?
Couldn't possibly tell you.
Let's talk about day one of production.
Yes.
Well,
let's relive that nightmare.
Well, that sums it up. What were you thinking when Tom decided, let's do this on day one of shooting?
The day one of shooting part didn't surprise me. We call it big into small. We like to take the big stuff first and get simpler as we go. It was when he suggested he wanted to drive a motorcycle off of a cliff that I knew this was going to be something both spectacular and extremely, extremely nerve-wracking, which it was.
And then on the other side of that, he jumps off a cliff, but yet he can't control a Fiat.
True. Rome will do that to you. It's a very tough city to drive.
Whose idea was it for a Fiat to get the best of Tom Cruise?
That was my idea. That was I did not expect it to turn out quite the way that it did. I had the idea for the Fiat going all the way back to Fallout. Then we put an electric motor in it, and the power of that thing was absolutely out of control. I got in that car once, took it for a test drive. I would never get in that car again.
And after watching the film, what was the production bill like between cars, trains, destruction? What was the destruction bill?
Oh, the destruction bill. Probably not as, in terms of cars, probably not as bad as Rogue. We wasted a lot of cars and motorcycles in Rogue. In terms of trains, this was our first train. It was a 70-ton train, and we built all those cars, wrecked everything, and it was... That was a hell of a tab.
With part two, have you gotten the water tank ready yet?
The water tank is filling as we speak.